Good morning. So we return again as a spiritual family together on Sunday. I see many guests. We're glad that you came here, and we hope that you find something in our service that makes you want to come back again. For those of you who are visitors and would like to know more about us, there's a blue card probably in the seat in front of you, or somebody can give you one where you can give some contact information if you'd like us to reach back to you. And also, please, after the service, for those of you who are new to Unitarian churches, we have our coffee hour, which is our version of communion, where we have snacks and coffee together. And the High Holy Coffee Pot is in the common room near the kitchen over there, and we would love to get to know you better. All right. And we will know you and zero in on you by your orange name tag. So we won't have to say, hey, you all the time. We do have a few events coming up this week. Our congregational meeting, you remember that, at which the congregation codifies board and committee nominations. And I joined the board. And the budget for the coming fiscal year is after church on June 7. So we're going to have a congregational meeting after church on June 7. The board president, Alan George, has already sent out the materials that require a vote through Realm, the Realm app. It's a Monday, really? June 6th? You want to vote on it? I don't know. What? Okay. The first Sunday in June. Look it up. All right. The first Sunday in June after church. And I hope you'll be there to practice our sacred democratic values. Okay. Now, Reverend Kim, who will be reading a story to our children in a little while, her time as a coordinator of family ministry will be concluding at the end of our month, and we'll miss her. And this means that we'll need even more volunteer efforts until we hire somebody to lead that element of our shared ministry, children education. Children education is very important. A lot of people are attracted to a church not so much because they're searching for God, but because they're searching for a good moral education for their children. And if you want your children to be raised with liberal values, this is the place. But we need Sunday school teachers. So there is now a serving team on Realm, internet app, Realm, to sign up for times that you would like to help with the children. So please consider helping out and speaking to Reverend Kim right there she is, if you have any questions in the next few weeks, and you better make them quick. Everyone is invited to join a protest and a march for reproductive justice this coming Saturday, next Saturday at 2 p.m., beginning at the Augusta Commons. So if you have an interest in reproductive justice, we're talking about pro-choice, that would be Saturday at 2 o'clock on the Common in Augusta Park near Broad Street. So let's practice our values and live our mission by affirming and promoting justice, as it seems to need more life than ever. And finally, the UUCA will be marching in this year's Pride Parade. So everyone is welcome to join us in solidarity and celebration of the wholeness and beauty of our LGBTQIA kin. And that's what we got for this morning's announcements.
Good morning. Today's chalice lighting will be Wholeness by Sharon Wiley. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you. Every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me, or the person sitting next to you, or the children, or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty, or more quiet, or more outgoing. You're beautiful, every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each, and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us now worship together.
Good morning. Our opening hymn is hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. The words are on the screen, but you can also find them in the gray hymnal. And we ask that you rise either in body or spirit and join me in song. We have some choir members in the audience today, so they will help lead us.
This morning, our joys and sorrows will be presented by Margaret Tutt. No? Ah, Marika. All right.
You look how it fixed you, tell them how you're doing.
It's double duty. I was here last week, but I can do it again. I'm happy to. This is the time in our service where we share joys and sorrows that have come into our lives. If you would like to share here in the group, please come up here to the forefront. Which microphone are we using, please? This one. Turn it on, please. Yeah, okay. So if you would like to share, please come up here. I'm going.
And I do have a story this morning. Someone corrected me the last time I read one of this minister's stories on how to pronounce his name. I was very grateful. I've struggled with it for years. It's Christopher Bice from A Bucket Full of Dreams. And I mentioned in my newsletter column that we think about beauty as having to do with the senses mostly, especially maybe vision, maybe hearing. We think about a beautiful song. But there are other ways to think about beauty, and this story kind of gets at that point as well. It's called The Beauty Contest. Once upon a time in a little village, there appeared a sign that said, "Beauty contest to be held this Saturday at the fairgrounds. There will be a surprise judge." All the young girls in the village were very excited about being in a beauty contest, and they began to prepare for the big day. They all bought new clothes and jewelry, they made appointments to get new hairdos, and they also began spending a lot of time looking in the mirror and practicing their smiles. Well, almost all the girls. There was one girl who was a poor servant. She had no money to buy new clothes or new jewelry. She didn't even have enough money to pay for a new hairdo. In fact, she was so poor, she didn't even have a mirror to look in and practice her smile. This poor girl could do nothing to prepare for the beauty contest. Finally, the day for the beauty contest arrived, and all the girls from the village started down the road to the fairgrounds. On this particular day, there was a blind man standing by the side of the road. As each person walked by, he asked, "Would you please help me down the road? I am blind, and I cannot see to find my way." But all the young girls were in too big a hurry to get to the beauty contest, and they just walked right past the blind man. After a while, the poor servant girl walked by and saw the blind man. She offered to help him down the road. "Where are you going?" she asked. "I am going to the fairgrounds," said the blind man, and so the two began walking down the road. When they arrived at the fairgrounds, there was mass confusion. There were lots of girls ready for a beauty contest, but there was no judge to be found. All the girls were shouting, "Where is the judge?" "Here I am," said the blind man. "Sorry I'm late." That was quiet for a moment, and everyone was surprised. Finally, one girl said, "You can't judge the beauty contest. You can't see." The blind man laughed. True beauty is something anyone can see. A pretty face is nice, but an act of kindness for a stranger, now that is a beautiful thing. And as he spoke, he pinned a blue ribbon on the poor girl's shirt, and on the ribbon were the words, "First prize." "Do not be fooled by false beauty," said the blind man. "The next time you're looking for the winner of your beauty contest, look for someone who is kind and helpful."
Oh, good. Let's sing them out.
Let's sing our children out.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, may you grow. No more love is in you. This morning's meditation, I've been practicing mini meditations wherever I am at work or just sitting around where you can just kind of take your mind and park it to one side for a little while. The point of meditation that you're hoping to get to at some point is to let the chatter of your mind settle down a little bit so that you can see the world as it is. Jesus said, "Be still and know that I am God." That was the voice of Christ, universal consciousness speaking through him. But he emphasized the words, "Be still, be still." Get over yourself for a minute or two and just listen to the world as it is, as it is. The best thing you can do to respect God or your own spirit or whatever you believe is to make the effort to see the world as it is and not the way that you believe it to be. Don't believe everything you think. So we'll have a moment of stillness. It helps to take 3 conscious breaths, which is another thing that you can do during your day that will make a huge difference. Stop what you're doing, stand up, and take 3 conscious breaths. And when you do that, your whole experience of the world changes. It's a very good thing to do before you eat a chocolate bar. All right. Okay. So we'll take 3 conscious breaths together. We'll have 1 minute of stillness as best you can manage. I'll mind the time and ring a bell at the beginning and the end. Thank you, David. There was this woman in Ukraine I read about when the war began. She lived in Kharkiv. If you've been following the news about the war, you might remember that Kharkiv, at the very beginning of the war, the Russians opened up really heavily on this city. They bombed everything into the ground that they could. So this was the first opening of the war, and this woman was living in one of these big apartment building blocks that you see sometimes on the news, all blackened and burned. And for about a week, she was sheltering in the basement of this building, and she had no food. She had no food. She had a little bit of water from a sink. And day and night, she had explosions and air raid silence. These are things that none of us have ever experienced, I think, unless you've come here from another country, because we haven't had anything like that since the Civil War. She had a week of this, no food, a little water, and nothing but destruction for a week. Things settled down a little bit. She came out of the basement and she looks around at the street, which had been her neighborhood for years. Can you imagine? And it's all busted up and everything's burned and blackened and smoking, and there's still stuff blowing up in the distance. There's bodies on the ground that she's stepping over, and some of them she recognizes. She walks down the street where she'd done her shopping for years, and she's so hungry. And she stops in front of a shop with the windows all blown out and burned. And there on a table inside the shop, she sees one loaf of bread, a clean, fresh loaf of bread. And she stands on the street and she cries. She cries with sadness and joy together. Now, sometime, I think, between the end of your day, you're going to see a loaf of bread somewhere. You're probably not going to cry. If you're in the grocery store, you're going to be looking to see which is the best loaf of bread, not the only loaf of bread, the best one. What is the difference between that woman and you? What is she seeing that you're not seeing and that I'm not seeing when I look at bread? Bread is bread. She stood on the street and cried when she saw a loaf of bread. What she's experiencing is something that science cannot measure. Modern science was founded by Galileo hundreds of years ago because he was the first one to understand that if you could use mathematics, you could measure the behavior and the quantity of things. And in this way, you could explain the phenomena of the universe to yourself. And that was true. And it works very well. And in our age, you've got cell phones in your pocket that are based on quantum physics. And if you study quantum physics, it doesn't make sense. And yet, everything around it proves that it's true. Science cannot tell you what that woman was seeing because that is a quality that's not the same as a quantity. Science right now is only beginning to tackle the big question of what consciousness is and what is conscious and what is not conscious and where does it come from. What that woman was experiencing cannot be explained in terms of electric chemical processes in the neurons. There's something else going on there that is not quantifiable. That is quality. That is quality. You can taste a piece of bread. Science can tell you what's going on with your tongue and your taste buds. It can tell you what part of the brain is lighting up when you taste that loaf of bread, but it cannot give you the experience of bread. That is something that is still out of our reach, and it's been out of our reach pretty much forever. Quality. It cannot give you the experience of quality. We have many different people in our congregation, many different belief systems. I identify myself as a Christian mystic. Mystics. Christian mystics. This is not a basketball team. This is you mystics, okay? And when I read the Bible, I hear over and over Jesus is trying to tell people what the kingdom of heaven is, and he can't do it. He fails every time, and he tries so hard to tell people this thing which is so important to him. He says The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard tree. The kingdom of heaven is like a father with two sons. The kingdom of heaven is like a vineyard. The kingdom of heaven is like a farmer who sowed seeds, and it's this thing and that thing. He sounds like a guy who's trying to describe the color green to people who can't see any colors. The color green is like that guy's shirt. The color green is like that guy's shirt. The color green is like that guy's shirt and that guy's shirt. And it's like that tree, the colored tree. That tree is like the color green. It sounds crazy. Doesn't make any sense. If you're talking about a quantity, it doesn't make any sense. If you're talking about a quality, it could. Quality. That's why, in my opinion, yours may vary, but in my opinion, I am convinced that he was not talking about a place. The kingdom of heaven is not pearly gates and angels. Hell is not devils and pitchforks and fire, because that is a quantity. You can describe that. He would have described that easily, because preachers across the street and all over town right now are describing that in vivid detail. And Jesus himself could not do that, because I believe he is describing a quality. He is describing what makes the difference between that woman in the Ukraine when she sees a loaf of bread and you and me when I see a loaf of bread. That is a quality. In the Gospel of Thomas, one of the Nag Hammadi Gospels that was lost for centuries, the Gospel of Thomas, very interesting. He says, split wood, and I am there. Lift up stone, and you will find me there. He's not talking about himself. He's talking about the universal, unmanifested consciousness that all form and reality and spirit arises from. That is the Christ speaking through him. I am there. I am in that tree. I am in that acorn. I'm in the cockroach crawling across the floor. I am in the things that you don't like, and I am in the things that you do like. There is nothing in this world that is not. As the Indian mystics say, I am that, you are that, and all this is that. He said to his disciples in the Gospel of Thomas, he said, if somebody tells you the kingdom of heaven is in the sky, quantity, the birds are going to get there before you do. If somebody tells you the kingdom of heaven is in the ocean, quantity, the fish are going to get there before you do. Behold, the kingdom of heaven is within you and without you and all around you, and men see it not. That, I don't know about you, but that gives me hope. The people I see who are so bent on going to the kingdom of heaven when they die, they don't even practice how to get there. They're not going to be happy when they get there. People who get $1 million, sometimes it ruins their life. What if you're, I read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass when he was a slave. The people who were cruelest to him, the cruelest slave masters that Frederick Douglass had when he was young, were pious and very religious, and they were convinced that they were going to the kingdom of heaven, even as they whipped him and whipped women around him. They were convinced that they were saved because they're not dealing in the right currency. I believe that in his time, Jesus was speaking about a state of spirit, because that's what you get to carry around with you. The state of spirit, which comes from seeing God in everything. You want to meditate on something? Try to see God or Christ, which to me are interchangeable. Christ. This is why I say sometimes Christ is not Jesus. Actually, Christ is Jesus, but so are you. So is everything. It's easier to see Christ or the Spirit of God in children or animals or innocent things because they haven't learned how to be anything except who they are. We adults, we have so many personalities that we put on depending on where we are, but children haven't learned that yet. There's something very different about them than there is about adults. Jesus is what the Buddhists would call a finger pointing at the moon. Imagine that you want to see the moon. You've never seen the moon before, and you're looking for somebody who can show you where to find it. Jesus is that person with his finger. Jesus's finger is pointing at the moon. That thing, that bright thing over there, you don't see it? Look at my finger. Look at my finger. See where my finger is? That's the moon. That's where you're trying to go. Now you can forget all about my finger and go. So Jesus cannot give you the experience of the moon. All Jesus can do is give you the finger, tell you where to go. What? What did I say? All you people, grow up. All right. So we are living on the same planet, but we're not living in the same world. The lady in Ukraine, you and us, we're living on the same planet. We eat the same bread, but we're not living in the same world. That is the secret of the spiritual life. Amen.
And now we come to the time in our service where we take up the offering that will help us sustain this beloved community. Just a place where we can support one another in a world that seems so broken right now. If the ushers will come forward, please. Beautiful, thank you. thank you for your generosity. And thank you, David. Ooh, we're getting some feedback, so. I'd like to begin with a reading that I found on the UUA website. There's a section called Braver and Wiser. It's just a collection of reflections from various authors. And the one that really spoke to me was Beauty from Brokenness by Paula Gribble. And I'll begin with that particular reading here. So, in her reflection, Beauty from Brokenness, Paula Gribble begins with this quote by an unknown author. I'm beautifully broken, perfectly imperfect, beautiful in my flaws. Altogether, I'm a beautiful disaster. She continues in her own words. I am broken. We are all broken. Now stay with me. In meteorology, the term broken refers to the sky being more than half, but not totally covered by clouds. When I was a child, life was especially challenging. I suffered abuse, both verbal and sexual. I was poor and sometimes hungry. I am broken. I am not the only one. All of us sit with our own struggles, hard times, pains, and losses. You are broken. It may be a natural response to hide this brokenness. You, like me, may have avoided certain topics with people so you don't have to talk about a painful time. You may have tried to hide the things you don't like about yourself. Let's return to that meteorological definition, being more than half, but not totally covered by clouds. Have you ever been outside on a cloudy day and then the light shines through the clouds? And it's particularly beautiful because it's coming through the clouds all around it. Sunny days are great, but there's just something special about the light coming through the clouds on a broken day, something graceful. I offered to you that you do not have to feel like a cracked and flawed plate you drop in the kitchen, the one that will never quite work right. Instead, the things that have broken you also make you beautiful, special, graceful. I'm not saying that painful and challenging things are okay. They're not. But I would not be the person that I am today if I had not gone through these things. My broken is what makes me who I am today. And you would not be the person you are without your brokenness. Your special, beautiful, graceful light couldn't shine through without the clouds surrounding you. Beautiful creations born out of brokenness. We have to take these parts of ourselves and allow them to be broken. And from these broken pieces, create something new, something beautiful and special, something born of our brokenness, something broken that is also perfect. I would like to add just a couple of random thoughts here, and I'll keep them brief, or try to anyway. I really relate to what she's saying about brokenness because I am coming to terms with my own feelings of brokenness in a way I've never had to before. And basically, so many of us are having to do that even more, given the events that have happened in the last couple of years. And just even this morning, hearing about yet another mass shooting. But I do feel this, how do we get through this? It feels like it's just we're kind of end up dealing with all this brokenness and feeling like we're in survival mode. And sometimes, I don't know about the rest of you, but I just need a freaking break from being in survival mode all the time. So that's the thing about beauty. Even something as simple, at least for me, going outside, just outside the back door, sitting on the porch, on the back deck rather, and just taking in the beauty of the trees in the back and the wonderful sounds of the birds and the frogs and the traffic in the background, which also masks my tinnitus, which is an extra bonus. And just in that space, I'm giving myself a break from being in survival mode. And that is one of the things that helps me to just recharge my batteries a bit, just give myself a break, a chance to rest a little bit, as it were, before I get back to it. And I'm really not sure whether I am who I am because of my brokenness, or if I am who I am in spite of it. I'm still trying to sort that out. And I'm also trying to figure out how to put the broken pieces back together again. And honestly, this is very much a work in progress. That's all I've got for now. So with that, let's go to our closing hymn.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Chris, for both of your words, really from the heart. Give us a lot to think about. Our closing hymn is 205, Amazing Grace. I told someone it was Amazing Grace Sunday. We're going to play it twice and we'll sing it once. So the words are on the screen, and I ask you to rise in body and spirit. You can look in the hymnal.
Today's benediction will be Where There Is Beauty by Reverend Karen G. Johnson. What to do with beauty, or joy for that matter, in the midst of tragedy, of violence, of cruelty? What do we do with the living? Give each their due. Do not lose ourselves in any of it, but find ourselves anew. Where there is beauty, amplify it. Where beauty is hidden, reveal it. Where beauty is ruined, restore it. Where beauty is absent, create it. This will be our gift to the aching world.